Now we will have two IPCS talks. And first of all, I will present IPCS interdisciplinary research and teaching. And later on, Professor Chien will share with us things with the air. Then I will let him introduce later. All right, I would like to take this opportunity to share with everyone, although a lot of IPCS students here already, but I think it would be nice to share the IPCS teaching at this occasion. So at IPCS, as we always mention that we are doing interdisciplinary teaching and research. So usually, if we from academic disciplines, we have from earth science, from life science, and also from social science. So our faculties and our students are kind of combined with these three different disciplines and try to work together instead of separately in order to solve the problems right now we are facing now. And then usually the method and methodology we use is usually, all right, I would like to take this opportunity to share with everyone, although a lot of IPCS students here already, but I think it would be nice to share the IPCS teaching at this occasion. So at IPCS, as we always mention that we are doing interdisciplinary teaching and research. So usually, if we from academic disciplines, we have from earth science, from life science, and also from social science. So our faculties and our students are kind of combined with these three different disciplines and try to work together instead of separately in order to solve the problems right now we are facing now. And then usually the method and methodology we use is usually go to the field science, and then we collect data or we talk to people. And also we have the laboratory sciences that we do the experiment in the lab. And then also we have data and model science that we use data from Central Weather Administrative, and then from globally, and then we also use climate models and to do the research. And then the three main things of our IPCS research clusters is from the climate change basic science, and also the global south, such as UN and SDGs, and also climate services and develop. That I will elaborate little bit further later. So at IPCS, we are always mentioning that learning by doing. And then at each courses that we had a lot of hands-on action. So we try to cultivate this different field, interdisciplinary students equipped with climate change and sustainability. So we try to strengthen the students' ability and to confront real-world challenges. And here, as I mentioned earlier, that we want to engage with field surveys. And when we do the field survey, actually we need to talk to the people a lot. So communication is very important. And also identify key issues related to climate change, that you need to talk to climate change scientists. And then again, a lot of communications. And then the students need to propose and implement the plain and practical solutions. Again, you need to talk to the stakeholders, and then how to talk, a lot of communications. So communications here at IPCS are very important because you need to learn how to talk to different people. And then we try to break away from narrow perspectives. So as we mentioned that IPCS has a lot of different field scientists and also students. So we try to develop this multi-perspective view. And again, this hands-on exercise is very helpful for the students to talk to different people to build up this project. And then, of course, we try to exploring the climate change and the environmental questions. So one of the teaching highlights I want to mention here is called climate services. Then to give the students with ability to apply climate change science to earth science, and also to the life science and to the social science. So we use this course as a fundamental timing for the student to learn how to use climate data accurately. So students from different fields that need to learn how to use programming language to deal with the climate data, and then appropriately across disciplines. So ensuring that climate change not only just a buzzword, but you can know, like, okay, we know we use data analysis, and then we know how much temperature is increasing, and then we can talk to different stakeholders that, okay, climate is changing, and what kind of issues that you are facing that we can try to help. So this course guides students through the real-world topic by analyzing data and completing a group project. Then in the end, the student need to work on a proposal, and then this proposal can be related to the real problem that we are facing. So basically, it aims to cultivate the students' ability to collect data, analyzing the data, and also think critically, and then ask meaningful questions. So in the end, try to develop practical solutions. I use this schematic conducted by Professor Chien, try to illustrate how we think of the climate services. So usually, the scientists, especially the climate scientists, we can generate lots of figures. But this figure, when we try to deliver to the users or stakeholders, sometimes it doesn't work because they don't understand what this figure means. So it's just a climate data, it's just a plot. So usually we need a lot of communications here that the climate manager, that is hopefully the IPCS students can be with, then try to communicate with different users, and in the meantime, the climate manager can communicate with the scientists that, okay, what kind of data the users actually need, and then what kind of, not only just the data, but the information that the user needs, so that the scientists can help to produce this kind of information, not only just the figure only. So in the end, we go through this climate manager from the scientists and then produce the useful information to the users or different stakeholders. So not only just giving some data set, but the climate information is the most important, because with those information, the users or stakeholders, they can do their climate adaptations. So while at IPCS, when we try to do this climate services course, we also facing a lot of challenges because students' background are multidisciplinary. So they can be from College of Science, they can also be college from engineer or from social science. So there is no such thing as a typical IPCS student, but it's also a good opportunity because with this diversity of backgrounds creates lots of opportunity for the new field to be explored. So the flexibility of our course progress is also needed. So we kind of develop like PBL or PJBL. It's called problem-based learning and also project-based learning. So let the students to develop a scientific question, try to solve some societal issues, and then from that we can have this fundamental climate change science and data analysis, figure out what kind of problem they want to solve, become like a multidisciplinary project. This is something we try to train the student. So a quick summary here that through a lot of hands-on approaches like the field work or data analysis and the planning, students are encouraged to bring the theory, climate change, fundamental climate change science, and the practice our solutions. And then this problem-based learning means can solve the real-world problems. Try to strengthen the students' problem-solving skills. And then again, from the knowledge to action, this is some fundamental idea that we have in the academic services. So prepare the student to connect the science with social needs by building both technique and combination capacities. So at the end of the project or the course, usually we hope the students can talk to different stakeholders, such as farmers or fisheries or other social workers, like to understand what kind of challenge they have. So again, the communication is very important. Try to deal with the real-world challenges. Then in the end, we can have actionable academic services. So with that, I want to thank you for your listening. And then this PowerPoint is helped a lot by our IPCS faculties and also administrative offices. So with that, I would also like to invite Professor Chien to talk about thinking with air, a new interdisciplinary ontology for our climate changing era. And Professor Chien is a professor in geography and also at IPCS. Let's welcome him.
Thank you, Professor Lo's invitation me to give this sharing, and thank you for Zhengyan, our Education Foundation, with the IPCS organizing these symposiums. And the way I'm thinking in here to do some of the sharing about the 15 minutes is about, we have been talking about the interdisciplinary research or collaborations for a long time. But that is about things about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that we think about the interdisciplinary is so important. And particularly for the climate change issues, as Professor Lo just mentioned very clearly about the IPCS, try to put different students from different backgrounds together. But what I'm thinking about maybe is it's the time to move from the certain status to the a little bit deep water areas. And that is the way I'm thinking about the proposal is thinking with the air. It's not about thinking on air. It's a different understanding of the human earth or human environmental relationships. And that is the way we are thinking about we can share, and we can start from now today. So starting from the beginning of these 6 approaches in understanding the climate change, that is Professor Min-Hui, now is the chair of the geography department of the in the Cambridge University in UK. And he proposed that actually has 6 ways of understanding about the climate changes. That is about the reformed modernism is mentioned mainly by the scientists to try to persuade us about climate change issues from scientists' solutions as well as the scientists' researchers. And reformed modernism also has been heavily promoted by the corporations who try to mention the price is so important. So right now we are talking about the carbon price, we are talking about a lot of the market mechanism to try to change the motivations about the climate change solutions. But also we also have a certain kind of skepticals who do not understanding or do not want to believe the climate change. We also have the social activities try to promote a lot of the solutions from the NGOs, from the social activities organizations. We also have the Tibetan voices from the Aboriginal people. If we want to deal with the Australia fire very carefully, now that something says about maybe the Australian Aboriginal people, there is a cultural fire. They put a fire regularly, maybe makes sense, rather than just not try to always avoid of the fires. We also have the artists' imaginations by the curations, by the movies, by the literatures. A lot of people understanding the climate change is actually from the movie Today After Tomorrow. So that is the way we have the motivation. We try to push the people move more by the artist's imagination, by the literatures. We also have the religious engagement. That is the reason we are here with the religious organizers, with the bands, with a lot of people. So now it's actually scientists, policy makers, and then the social activists, and the Aboriginal peoples, and artists, and then the religious organizers has been talking about climate change together in one room already. And these six approaches broaden the landscape of the climate change discourse and actions. But I'm thinking about maybe even more. It's that we're not just only sitting together in one room. We can have the even deeper, different understanding about what is the climate, what is the human and Earth relationships, and we are not just only about human as the external observers of our planet, but we are also we are actually is a part of the planet. We are actually is a part of the problems, as just mentioned before. So that is the way we are thinking about if that is a new ontology or new epistemology, what we can do more. So mention this is very easy from the ego to the echo. And modern scientists and the industry modernity actually try to build the ego-centered ontology. And here, human beings is imaginated standing above the nature. And the human as a rational subject who can survey the whole world, then categorize it and then control it. And then the human who's standing actually on the land and actually above of everyone. They are facing the world as they can measure it, they can master it, and they can predict it from the distances. That is the egocentric ontologies. But the ecocentric ontology, understanding put something very different way. You can easily to see that actually human is just part of, it's not the center, it's not above, it's actually the north among many things. Entangled with the animals, entangled with the planet, entangled with the winds, waters, the soil, the technologies, everything together. So human is not above the earth, but actually is within the earth. Okay? And then we live not only on the ground, we are actually in the atmosphere. We are actually in the weather. With the lighting, with the humidity, with the temperature, with the sounds, with everything together. So our existence is actually immersed in this kind of dynamic materiality of the planet. So that is the way we have two different kinds of understandings. One is the ecocentric, the other is the ecocentric. That is also related to what is the earth. The definition of the earth, it can be very pure earth. We saw the four elements from the very traditional philosophy: fire, earth, air, and water. 风火水土. The earth in here means can be purely about the earth is the soil. So for example, when we talk about the US and China relationship that has a lot of conflicts, one issue is about China control the rare earth, is the C2. The rare earth is so important about the American technologies. So when we talk about the earth, sometimes it's actually about the soil itself. But when we talk about the earth, actually it's another way is earth system. Is the biosphere, is the hydrosphere, water issues, is the lithosphere, is about the earth issues, is the atmosphere, is about the air issues. So this is kind of the different circle together is rather the earth systems. So maybe we can push forward from the earth as a pure soil to the first as the ecosystems. And that is related to the human is not on the land, but in the weather world. I want to invite everyone, if I asking you to draw a map about the human and earth relationships, a lot of people might draw from the left, either the top or the left, second top, or the in the middle left, that kind of issues. In that kind of sense, actually, this is the earth is just a soil, earth is just a static, it is the measurable lands and owned by the people. So people standing on the earth. But actually, earth is not just only about the lands. The earth is actually the living planet. It's the breathing system of the continuing movement about the ocean can rise and falls, about the winds actually can carry the heat and dust, and the land itself also can be drifting, or like the ocean can be drifting and have the wave and erupting and everything. So that is understanding about the world is not just only has the distances. We are human beings, we are external observers from the earth. We are actually part of the earth. as we are part of the weather, we are part of the climate system, we are part of the whole environment. So we need to understanding the reasons, we understanding how we are thinking then, not just only we think on the air or we think on the environment, we must be think with the air. We entangling together, we are not standing outside, so we are think with the air, we are think with them together. How can we see that differently? Okay, that is the weather world, that is by very important anthropologist, British anthropologist, is a book about the life of lines. You can download it and you can have a look at that. So I invite you to think about thinking on the air is very different from thinking with the air. Co-thinking with the elements, co-thinking with the environment, what does it mean? If we asking you two very simple practice, a lot of people might do the survey. If you have no idea about the survey, at least you might do the timing, okay? The survey, when everyone serves, you cannot just simply dominate the water or dominate the wave. You must tune your forces and tune your bodies again, and along with these forces. You can find the balance and the rhythms between yourselves and the wave. So if you ask the server, okay, you are served the wave serve you. Then we combine together. So in the sense that you are thinking with the wave, you are thinking with the water. If you never serve, you also can. A lot of people might in the child time, you might flying the kites. When you flying the kites, the wind actually is not advisory. It's actually your collaborators. You need to feel its directions. You need to feel its pressures. You also need to see that it's invisible hands. You need to cooperate the wind together. So the kite is not flight when your gesture. The flight and successfully flight when your gesture resonate the wings. Okay, so you cannot just have the very objectively, scientifically observe the wind. You can do the kiting very well. So you need to sing with the wind. You need to sing with the air when you do the kite fighting. So at that time, the environment understanding is not just only remain as the disembodied. It's not just only as the external observer. You must be embodied. You must be relational with the environment. You must co-creative together, just as you do the survey as well as you do the kite fighting. Okay. So we think that with the air is we think through the movement, as we think through the environment. We think through the exposure and participation in the environment. That is the way I think about is so important when we do the further, deeper interdisciplinary understanding as the researchers when we have to face the climate change challenges. So I think if we want to do thinking with the air very carefully, at least we need to have the three different kinds of the practices. Number one is the new kind of the logic of the reasoning. That is back to, as we are, a lot of people is the College of Science or the College of the Engineering. We do a lot of the laboratory science, as just Professor Lo has mentioned in our IPCS, the three kinds of the different type of the sciences. Laboratory science or the model computer sciences. That is in conventional science, we actually rely on the deduction and inductions, 归纳跟演绎. And both is actually presume the phenomena is repeatable. And its verification depends on the replications. It can be repeated once again and again by each laboratory or by each models. But the field science, the field-based environment, this kind of the field-based knowledge and field-based researches is actually resist the repetitions. Everyone faces the typhoon, but never any single typhoon is identical. Every typhoon has a different pathway. Every typhoon has a different kind of the relationship with the humans. The two fog phenomena also have different ways. The T wave is different. The whole of the weather environment is sometimes is so different that every unique is singular. It's historically situated. It's contextually dependent. So that is the way we're thinking about maybe the new way of the reasoning is rather than just only deductive or the inductive. It's what we call about the adaptive reasoning. It's right now is urgently needed. What do we mean by the adaptive reasoning? Adaptive reasoning begins with the surprising and very possible facts is never happened before, but we need to seek for the most possible explanations. And that is the way we are reconstructing the conductions of the emergencies behind the singular events. In the context of the climate issues or the environmental issues, adaptive reasoning is so crucial because environmental and social phenomena is not that easy to repeatable. The typhoon, the fog episodes, the landslide, the social protests cannot be reproduced in the lab as well as reproduced once again at the same time, at the same place, by the same people. So researchers must instead return to the field, draw the local knowledges by doing the sensory experience, the historical traces, the understandings, in order to revert why this event has happened before in the past. So adoption, that kind of the reasoning, is kind of the understanding of the situated knowledges. It embraces us about the uncertainty. It also encourages us to embrace about the imaginations and the emphasis of the essential components of the inquiries. So rather than thinking of the universal laws, as a lot of the College of the Sciences and the conventional scientists try to do their best for the lifetimes, just only looking for the universal laws, but actually adaptive reasoning is reconstructing the narratives of the becomings. It's tracing how the different forces, how the humans and non-humans together is make these situations happening. That is exactly the time we are facing about the climate changes. That has happened already. The kind of that never happened before. Well, we need to look for all of the possible explanations of what has been done in the past in order to understand it in the future. So adaptive reasoning is the form of the sensing making under about these uncertainties. This is not about we do not want the reductive or deductive. We're just thinking about in the current knowledge, maybe it's dominated by the inductive or deductive reasonings. It's the time to promoting another way of the understanding of the reasoning about the adaptive reasonings. That is number one. Number two is about the temporalities, the notion of the temporalities. The modern Western source has been tended to think about the time is linear. It's linear from the past to the present to the future, just like this one. And understanding the assumption is about the progress. Is every society can progress in one way, another, and is under control and can be planned. But the climate change, this actually try to tell us that is evidences of these models. The environmental systems is actually operated as its own lives. It's through the cycles, through the returns, through regenerations. It not simply move forward, they actually circulate. It also reminds us that time is not the understanding of the time is not the neutral background, it's not the neutral, but actually it's a cultural construction that shapes how we invented the world. The way we say about how cultural construction about the time is the sensing of the time is actually not just only about the linear temporalities that is very popular in the Western cultures. In the Eastern cultures, we actually have the cyclical temporalities, just like this kind of the 24 hours, 24 solar terms, 24节气. The 24节气 just mention us that is very prevailing in a lot of the Asian and indigenous the way of understanding the cosmetologies. There has the seasons, there has the monsoons, there has the harvests, there has the titles, there has the rebirths. Chinese 24-hour solar terms 24节气, and the Hindus' notion about the karma or the rebirth, or the Pacific Islands that has the tidal calendars for their movements. A lot of things as the Pacific Islanders actually living in the islands in the Pacific, right? So they all express this kind of the sense of the circular continuities. The circular time or the cyclical times, they value us, they try to encourage us about we try to respect the environment. We have the understanding of the adaptations, about the patience, about the regenerations. It's about the ecological humanities and the sustainable orientations. It's about how sometimes we regard it as a kind of the new ways of the survival and the new ways of the sustainable. But it's in the past, if we have dominated by the Western kind of the linear temporalities concept, we will criticize this kind of the Western, this kind of the cyclical temporalities. We sometimes regard it as too conservative. They are lacking of the kind of they have no time of just only for the adaptations rather than looking for the innovations, as the no progress of the innovation or there's no plan. But we try to thinking about this should be has another kind of the notion of the temporalities and try to combine together. It's not just only about two temporalities, just only one or the other. Actually, these two temporalities is not opposites, but we need to be complementary together. Linear times enable us to do some of the planning and progress, sometimes push us for the innovations, but the clinical times sometimes grant us the kind of the reasons, kind of the different way of understanding and care and understanding the return and regenerations. So the second is the new temporalities, clinical times instead of the linear, or these two can be combined together. The third one is new way of the scholarship. It is about the way of the temporal speed or kind of the regimes of the knowledge productions. Actually, under this kind of the neoliberal conditions, just about the 20 years time or the 30 years time, this kind of the neoliberal conditions or neoliberal university regimes, the scientists and academia has become the obsessive about the speed, the fast fundings, the fast publications, and fast evaluations. And fast science and the fast scholarships is actually immersed some kind of the neoliberal period of time. They are in favor of the speed, in favor of every kind of the qualification researches, and every kind of the immediate outputs. So every scholars are trying to evaluate not just only by years, sometimes by seasons. You try to write the report and then KPI, everything can be by numbers. And scholars are urged to publish faster and competing for the grants faster and performing about the measurable outcomes faster. And this kind of the models actually accelerated certain kind of innovations. And certainly, they has pushed certain kind of the faster data production and collections. But the other way, it also produced certain kind of fragmentations, superiorities, and the researchers' agenda become very short-term, very instrumental. And sometimes it's not that reflective and not relational to the society need. But in the time of the climate change, that will be different. So a lot of the scholars in the West is trying to promoting the slow science and the slow scholarships. They advocate a different way of the temporal ethics of the doing the researches as we are right now in the university. A lot of the audience is actually students and researchers or the scholars. That is the way of understanding the cultivations, a way of understanding the reflections, a way of understanding the relational care. Relational care between the scholars, relational care between the scholars and the students, relational care between the humans and the societies. That is actually this kind of the slow scholars, slow sciences movement is actually they try to believe the knowledge must be mature through the time and dialogues. And the scholars is not only producing the papers, but actually need to cooperate and co-creating the meaning with others, with other scholars, with the students, with the communities, with the whole environment. So I think the other way, if we want to have the really deeper ontological understanding about the climate change, about the interdisciplinary collaborations, we need the thinking with the air. We need we not just only push everyone sitting in one room together, scientists, social scientists, life scientists, social activities, the artists, the religious organizers, we're working closely and together. I think that it has been we has been done. That is the reason we are sitting in one room. But we should do further. We should do further. So we should do further by thinking with the air. This new kind of ontologies is urgently needed. But how can we do? 3 kinds of the practices. Number 1 is adaptive reasoning together with the reductive and the deductive reasoning together. The other one is promoting the idea of cyclical temporalities together with the linear temporalities. And then the third one is not about just slow, you need to moderate. It's not just only about the slow. Slow science is not pushing the society, can push it forward. Slow science is, slow scholars not just only we just sit and do not write the papers, no. The moderator means that we control our speed. We are not pushing by the system. We are controlled by understanding the relationship between the researchers and the societies, between the university and community, between the all scholars, between different disciplinary students and then disciplinary researchers together. So we need the moderator scholars. So it's not about the slow, not about just pure slow. So that's my thoughts and my thinking and sharing, and thank you very much for your listening and Q&A. Thank you.